On this episode of Geek Dad Life, we're going to review the new Kenner Classics reissue of the Ghost Popper by Hasbro. And we're also going to compare it to a vintage Ghost Popper. Hey everybody, and welcome to Geek Dad Life. It's your host, Jay Glatfelter here. Kenner's Real Ghostbusters is my favorite toy line of all time, and I have done a lot of videos on the original toys as well as these new Kenner Classics reissues. If you want me to make more Kenner Real Ghostbusters figures, let me know by hitting that like button. And if you want to see when those episodes drop, hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you'll be notified when the latest episode of Geek Dad Life drops. 2020 was a crummy year on many levels, and Ghostbusters Afterlife getting delayed well into 21 didn't make things any better. But Hasbro unveiling their Kenner Classics line and releasing it to toy shelves last year was one of the great surprises and bright spots in a tough year. We still haven't seen so much of the great product that they revealed to us almost a year ago at New York Toy Fair, but some of the exclusive toys like last year's Kenner Classics First Series figures and now this Walmart exclusive Ghost Popper have hit toy shelves. While we were all hoping for a lot more to be added to the Kenner Classics line at Hasbro PulseCon this year, I'm still thankful that we're getting this Ghost Popper to help us kick off the year in retro style. Now, most people probably would have preferred a reissue of the Proton Pack or Ghost Trap, but it makes sense they went with the Ghost Popper first for two reasons. One, they expected us to have the new versions of the Proton Pack, Neutrona Wand, PKE meter to go along with the Ghostbusters Afterlife release. And the Ghost Popper was one of the first roleplay toys that Kenner made. That's right, the first two roleplay toys were the Ghost Zapper and then closely followed by the Ghost Popper in 1988. The Ghost Popper was wholly unique to the Kenner Real Ghostbusters line. It never made an appearance in the cartoon show nor the movies. But this precursor to a Nerf gun was a favorite of myself and many other kids in the late 80s and early 90s. Looking at the packaging for this Kenner Classics Ghost Popper, they did a really good job capturing a lot of the same elements that were on the original Ghost Popper's packaging. But at the same time, there's a lot of new elements to this packaging to kind of bring it up to speed for modern toy releases. A big thanks to David Tate from the Ghostbusters Vintage Collectors group on Facebook for letting me use his pictures of an original box with the new one. The biggest change is the greater focus on safety. We have additional warnings to make sure you don't point or shoot this at people's eyes, and even the new child actor has safety glasses on to emphasize the importance of eye safety when it comes to using the Ghost Popper. I know it's easy to groan and say that kids these days are too soft, but as a parent of young kids, I appreciate this focus on safety. But I will say the inclusion of the 8+ sign on this box makes me rethink a lot of the toys that we used to play with as kids when I was much younger than 8. The other big difference here is making it more of a universal packaging that will be good for all markets across the world. We have a lot of multi-language info boxes as well as more images to show what this Ghost Popper contains, like the little burst in the upper left-hand corner going from telling you it has 6 soft foam pops included to just showing you the pop and then times 6. I'm perfectly okay with these changes. Again, if it makes it more accessible and allows us to get more of these toys, I'm all for it. And again, this is a new re-release. It is not exactly the same as the original one, so it keeps it separate for the collectors and allows us to have a new refreshed version to add to our collections or to share with our kids. I love that they kept the same 3 targets that were on the original packaging. Honestly, it's a great callback. And as I was cutting out these targets, I had flashbacks to when I did the same to my Ghost Popper and the Ecto Goggles Popper back when I was a kid. When they first announced the Ghost Popper at Hasbro PulseCon, we saw very quickly that this is casted in a different color than the original Ghost Popper. The first 2 roleplay toys were in a black color, which matched more to the movies, and then with the Proton Pack and on, they switched to a blue color, which matched more to the cartoon. I like this change. I think it brings it in line with the other roleplay toys they're going to be releasing for Afterlife and the later roleplay toys they made in the original Kenner line, and it helps distinguish itself from the original version of the Ghost Popper. And they probably want to make sure above all else that it's not going to be confused with a real weapon. Holding this new Ghost Popper in my hands, it has a lot of the same attributes as the original one, but one big difference I noticed very quickly was the pumping action. It's a lot tighter and it almost feels like there's an O-ring or some type of rubber boundary that kind of helps push more air through the barrel of the popper. Now, I can't remember if my original one was always this quick and kind of loose, or has it lost a bit of that sealed kind of pumping action from, nearly 40 years of aging? But even going back in time into my kid years, I do not think it was ever this tight of a pumping action, but I do think it makes for a more aggressive pop, even though the distance in itself is not getting that much greater than when I put the same pops into my old Ghost Popper. Even though it is casted in a blue plastic versus a black plastic, a lot of the details are still the same, even though they are slightly tweaked. The handles are a little bit longer with a little bit more defined finger grips, and all the little techno bits are slightly modified compared to the original one. We also have a lot more trademarks stamped onto the side of the new one, and then we also have a lot of new warning labels printed on the bottom of this Ghost Popper. But overall, it feels and functions much like the original Ghost Popper did. And if you want to enjoy a blast from the past and feel like you're a kid again, or maybe want to share the fun that we had as kids pretending we were Ghostbusters with your own kids or nieces and nephews, then I think this is a really, really neat buy. And while I still hope that Hasbro has a lot more in store and planned for the Kenner Classics toy line, I'm thankful they made this Ghost Popper and hope that they'll do more roleplay toys, because there's just so many great ones from the original Kenner Real Ghostbusters toy line. It's safe to say at $19.99, I think this definitely gets the Geek Dad Life buy rating. The only knock I'd give it is that it's a Walmart exclusive, so it is not as easy to find as a normal full retail release. Definitely check out some of my other Ghostbusters videos, especially my Kenner Classics ones. I reviewed every single release for the Kenner Classics Series 1 figures last year, including comparing an original carded example of Peter Venkman to the new release. Until next time, hasta luego, and goodbye.